It's Vicki Jakes here from Marketing Made Social. Welcome to this episode where we're going to be talking about why posting every day on your socials is not a strategy unless you have a plan. You've heard the advice online, right? People saying you've got to show up, you've got to be consistent. Gary Vee telling us to post 20 times a day. Alex Hormozy telling us to post hundreds of pieces of content across all the platforms. But the problem with showing up every day on social media is that if you're doing that without a plan, whether it's for your own business or on behalf of your clients' businesses, then it's just in effect going to waste your time and lead to burnout, which is very common in this industry. And more importantly, it could be hurting your ad performance because organic social and paid social don't sit in different universes anymore. They should be working in conjunction with each other and side by side. And my hope is that by the end of this episode, because if you're listening to this podcast, you're running some type of paid ads for yourself or for your clients, you'll appreciate the importance of aligning with an organic social strategy that little bit more. So this is great for you, this episode, if you're a small business owner running your own ads and you're a small business owner creating social and you feel the burn of creating organic social, like we all do, and you might feel overwhelmed, feel like you're being inconsistent, you know that you've got no plan. Hopefully by the end, you'll be able to take away a little bit of advice, a couple of nuggets here and there that you can go away and action on your own social strategies, like today, hopefully. So go and grab a coffee, pen and paper, whatever you need to do, or you can always just feed this episode to ChatGPT and get it to summarize the key points for you, right? Whatever you need to do, and we'll begin. So firstly, I just want to talk about why the advice just show up is kind of so ubiquitous, right, in our industry. I think it's because when social platforms first started to become mega, like Facebook and Instagram are like prime examples of this, their feeds were time-based, right? So you could post something at 9 o'clock in the morning and then post something at 3 p.m. and then something at 8 p.m. and people would see those posts in order. So if you was to flood your feed with multiple posts, then people would see more of your stuff effectively. So users who got wind of this and creators, not that there were creators back then in the olden days of social media, but creators got wind of this and were able to take advantage. And so it was a volume game. The more volume that you could output, the more likely it is that you would be seen. That's maybe 2010. Cut to 15 years later, the platforms have changed significantly. They're all algorithmically based to make sure that they show content that other users are already into, so something that's already gone viral, things that are interesting, newsworthy. You don't have that control to flood someone's feed anymore. And by the way, that's a good thing because the spam was just off the charts 15 years ago, if I remember my Facebook feed and Instagram feeds correctly. And in a way, the TikTokification, if you like, of social media feeds has meant that users with less followers, with less mass teams to create like multiple pieces of content, still have that chance to be seen. And TikTok favors on its For You feed, for your for you page feed, it favors showing new things. Doesn't matter how many like followers you've got or whatever, and so it's made superstars out of some creators, and because of that, it's been very attractive for users to kind of be on and kind of use and create content for. And as such, other platforms have started to mimic that way of showing content to users. Meta, obviously, being one, they're very famous for magpieing features from kind of other social platforms. But we're starting to see it, across the board. Obviously, YouTube, with its shorts feed, and even Netflix have got a feed, Spotify have got a feed, and these feeds are algorithmically based to and tuned to kind of show um, popular content that others like, because it helps users discover things that are already good. So yeah, that kind of whole focus on volume is definitely an old way of looking at socials and kind of looking at the internet. um, I think as well, that volume piece definitely was something that was pushed as kind of a content pillar by creators like Gary Vaynerchuk, who famously got many followers across multiple social platforms. Around 10 years ago, because he was just showing up and tweeting hundreds of times a day, and I'm putting multiple podcasts out, like two a day sometimes, posting on Instagram up to 10 times a day. This just doesn't work anymore in kind of 2025. So just bear that in mind, that the internet and social platforms are very different these days. So because we're now in this age of the kind of TikTok for you feed way of working, um, uh, the volume kind of need has changed, where users feel like they need to kind of show up every day just to keep putting their chips on the table, because it might be your turn. You might be the post that takes off and kind of comes viral tomorrow. Um, and as such, it has spawned an entire industry of creators, of people whose almost full-time job it is to create content for platforms. And platforms pay really well. YouTube famously has always paid its creators really well. You have to reach a certain threshold to get there. TikTok very much is paying its creators well enough. Maybe not as good as it used to be. Things are changing. And to a point, like Facebook and Instagram are kind of trying to mimic that as well. So these people are showing up and they're outputting high quality content on a regular basis. But the reason they can do it, and you shouldn't be, is because they have spent a lot of their time studying the content that made waves in the first place, right? So there's the difference, right? Because that consistency of kind of showing up every day is one thing, right? And that's enabled them to know what frequency of posts that they need to get out there in order to maintain like a certain level of impressions, and know roughly what videos may or may not go viral, right? But they've kind of put their time in, and they haven't just posted for the sake of posting it. Go and find one of your favorite creators on TikTok or Instagram or even YouTube, and go and study their feed. Go back and look through and scroll through and look at their videos, and make note of the ones that have got like the highest number of impressions or the highest number of likes. Um, these are often very similar to one another, like really similar to one another, because that creator has understood that they found something that resonates with their audience. So they keep repeating it ad nauseum, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You're not doing that when you show up every day, are you? Right? There's no judgment here, right? But likelihood is you're showing up every day and just posting something about your products. And you're not great at graphic design. So you've used something on Canva, right? Or you're just filming yourself talking about stuff in kind of different situations. Have you ever studied the video that you've put out that has had the highest number of impressions or views, and then kept replicating that and tweaking that? Those creators with those big numbers have, right? And that is the difference. But they're full time doing that. You are running a business, or you're running content on behalf of a client, right? So here's the thing, right? You can be consistent like they are uh, when you understand what it is that resonates with your audience. that resonates with your audience. You have to show up for sure, but just showing up and throwing spaghetti at the wall every single day to kind of see what sticks has to be balanced with the amount of time that you've got as a business owner or someone doing their marketing. Right. So, we've heard it so many times, especially with YouTubers actually, because, it's been going so long that we're able to kind of see how kind of time has played out. But, Jenna Marbles, for example, was massive as a YouTuber 10 plus years ago. And she stopped, she burnt out. She didn't want to make videos anymore. There's plenty of creators who don't want to continue doing that anymore because it is like a massive schlep. But here's the thing, right? As long as you are showing up, providing content to your audience on social that resonates with them, right? Not that you want them to see, but resonates with them. It doesn't matter if you only show up 2 or 3 times a week versus 5 to 10. And there's no hacking the algorithm here. There's no there's no way around it. You simply have to ask your audience what they want to see or study what they already like and then replicate that for them. And be mindful that trends and voiceovers and those type of things are great for following a wave and kind of going viral momentarily, but from a consistency point of view, aren't going to enable you to mimic what those bigger creators are doing. Unless you become, the lip syncing plumber, for example, or you become, the kind of dancing teacher or whatever. Like, I'm sure like there's some edge cases there. But you need to find the style of content that your audience resonates with and then repeat that to your audience on an ongoing basis, because consistency is everything. It really is everything, not frequency, right? So don't feed the algorithm, right? Feed your audience with stuff that they actually want. Now, the other reason why I think it's really important to give your audience what they want and find a style in your social content is because when you get into that cadence and when you kind of find that pace, you can take the best performing content that you're putting out on organic and use it for ads without having to spend more money testing using your ad spend money. Right. So organic, in particular, I'm talking about kind of reels here, TikTok videos, carousels, things that at the moment um, algorithms are kind of picking up and kind of showing to users. And carousels also apply, and videos also apply to LinkedIn at the moment as a sort of summer 2025 as well. Um, these creatives could be used in ads. So you've got this testing ground on organic to kind of try new things. And I bet you haven't shifted up how your organic social is showing for a while, right? But you should be treating organic social as the testing ground for paid 100%. Rather than using paid purely for the testing ground. So, my recommendation is to kind of look at what you're doing right now with, in the cold hard light of day, and try and understand if it's actually working for you, right? And see if you can post a kind of across these kind of 3 areas, right? A post that's going to attract a user. So that's a trend, a real video, a lip syncing video, something with a hook, a reaction video based on something that's happening at the moment. And when you attract users, remember, they're not often going to stay, but this is a great way of surfing the wave of how these algos work at the moment. Then you're going to need content that nurtures, right? So you're going to need to show you doing the job, a little bit like me doing this podcast or this video, right? Or it's a story, about how you've delivered something, or it's like an opinion that you have about a case study or kind of something that's happened. And then you need sales videos as well. I hate to say it. So if you are using social at the moment and you're not presenting your products how they should be used, you're not demoing them, or you're not presenting yourself the way that people buy you or your products, then you're missing out. But you have to do each of these three things, like the attract, nurture, and sell approach, in a way that's going to be attractive and entertaining for your users at the same time. I'm not saying that you need to spend your life kind of making this content, but if you have this framework in mind about one of these three post types and doing those post types in a way that's fun for the user to consume your content, and then commit to doing one or two of those posts a week, right? It's much better overall for you and for your users, because this is upping the quality of your output then, and then making sure that you don't deviate from the style that you've opted to choose, and the kind of message that you've opted to choose as well. So it's just a little snapshot there into how you might be posting on social at the moment. Look, you might be smashing it and going, yeah, I'm already way over this. And actually, my big problem at the moment is how to optimize the reach that I'm getting. We'll cover that in other episodes for sure. But what I wanted to do today was just to talk more importantly about why showing up every day isn't necessarily needed in 2025. And if you're listening to that and you're like, phew, I'm feeling it, then honestly, I can say this based on the data that I've analyzed across all of our agency client accounts and seeing this in the real world. We've had so much success with our clients when we've been able to either work with their organic social team or take charge of the organic social and feed in the data that we're getting from ads into that team, and then in turn get from that team what's working and feed it back into the ads. It kind of should be like this lovely kind of infinite loop of like the two areas supporting each other. If you're going to take one thing away from this, it's understanding that doing something intentionally, thinking about actually what your user wants to see versus you just showing up for the sake of it, is far more important than showing up every single day. So hopefully that's resonated with you. I'd love to hear your feedback. Come and find me on kind of LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram. My DMs are open, and I'd love to hear how your organic stuffs is going at the moment. Thanks again for listening, and look forward to chatting with you in the next episode.